That's an abrupt edit there. Sorry about that. Thanks so much, Birdie, and whoever else is watching. I even just fired off the weekly email while we were getting going here. Um, anyways, welcome. I kind of want that in the background, although, man, yeah, okay. That's so great. So that is the Kronos Quartet. And a friend of mine, who's an amazing musician named Jeannie Valonis, sent me, she had a day or so ago, she had sent me a link to, she's an audio engineer. And she sent me a link that I listened to today, and I was just blown away by it. And I can't play it on the stream because it's part of a record of Kronos Quartet. I bet I can share it though. I looked for a live version of it because it's so arresting and amazing. It's two pieces. Let me see if I can show it to you guys. You guys should check this out. When did this come out? December. Oh, it's not even out yet. So it releases December 5th. See, you watch my live stream and you get to know the coolest stuff going on. Ha ha ha. This is, let's see, Phenotypic Records. This is a new Kronos Quartet. The record is called Forgive Us For is what it's called. And the record, the piece that I listened to, it occurs to me, I thought that I might have been, I see what was going on. I just hit play and I thought that I was listening to one track that had two movements, but now I realize that it's not two movements. Oh, you guys can't see that. Sorry. There you go. Okay, now you can see it. This is the album, and it's just so killer. Let me see if I could just play just a little tiny bit of it. You can listen to both of these cuts, the first two cuts from the album. Dude, the vinyl. Oh, wow. That would be cool to get the vinyl. I finally have a record player here. But let me play this one, and like Jeannie, my friend, who's going to be a guest someday, probably on the podcast. Also, Birdie, how is the audio? How's the recording levels here? So she shared it with me because it's something she's proud of. She did the mastering on it, and I don't know if she did any of the other production, but at the very least, she's credited with doing the mastering. It sounds incredible. And this second one, they're both amazing. The first one, like, it's not at all, but it just vaguely reminds me of Maria Kalaniemi and Aldergas, just in vague Venn diagram overlaps. And then the second one is so incredible and arresting and stark, but dense at the same time. Anyways, let me play a little bit of this. This is the one that really catches my attention, although I love both of them. And I thought it was a 2-movement suite, but it's not. It's just two different pieces. All right, my vocal mic's up now, a little bit louder. I better stop it there. I don't want to get in. I don't want them to bust me for violating copyright or anything. But this is killer, man. You gotta. It's a slow burn. It's a real art piece. But anyways, I was just thinking of that, and then so that's why I put on the first piece that I put on here because it looked interesting and I was in a rush. But okay, get out of here. This is a piece called Sound Only Sound Remains by Sahaba Aminikia. Recorded 10 years ago in San Francisco with the Kronos Quartet and the San Francisco Girls Chorus here for SF Jazz. It's interesting that Kronos Quartet is part of SF Jazz, just the general, like, how programming works. Anyways, very cool. The piece was produced following my announcement on Facebook inviting Iranian female singers to collaborate with me, Kronos Quartet and Brooklyn Youth Chorus. Anyways, very, very cool piece. Let's see, what else? There was other stuff. Oh, I just had something that I wanted to talk about. I'm trying to think. Well, here, let me read my spiel then. Yeah, Musette Mama, what's happening? Great to see you. I'm going to go ahead and read my spiel for today. So, hey, my name is Dallas Vietty. That's my last name. I inherited through my dad's side of the family. And I play the accordion. You can see one over my shoulder. And I teach the accordion. And you could see that if you went to risingread.com, which is risingread.com, which is where I teach lessons. And I taught a lesson today, not too long before I had to start this live stream. And I taught a few yesterday, and I teach group classes and lots of stuff. And everybody loves me. And it's really wonderful. I love teaching too. And that's why I do this live stream, is to share and learn, and also get my name out there in case people are looking to study accordion with somebody like me. I'm going to read my little mission that I started as a way to start the stream and kind of, encant and enchant my values to myself and the stream and everybody listening. So let's see, where is it? Right here. Alrighty, here we go. This live stream is pro accordion, pro musicians' rights and representation, pro educators' rights and representation, pro LGBTQIA+, pro gender equality, pro feminist, pro democracy, political plurality. That's hard to say. Pro immigrant and pro immigration. My grandparents are immigrants from Scotland, and my great grandparents are immigrants from Sweden and Italy. We are anti-fascist, anti-white supremacist, anti-war, anti-genocide of the Palestinian people. We are anti-Semitic, anti-Semitic, pro-Semitic. We are pro-public funding for the arts, pro-public education, pro-educators, pro-academia, pro-university, junior college, pro-education in general. And that's about enough. If any of those statements, if you disagree with them or they're provocative to you, that's totally cool. You're still welcome here. You're still welcome to watch and in any of my classes that I teach. It's a time that we need to speak our truth and our values. And I say that as a way of affirming other people who have the same values. And I don't see how you could go through, the tenor of this live stream is to investigate world musics of accordion, a lot of it, or other musics that come from all these different cultures. How can you be curious about different cultures and be racist, I suppose? How is that even possible? I have no idea. Anyways, so that's what's up. That's the stream. Now let's see. Here's my personal check-in time. You guys, I have been sort of low-key obsessed with AI, and let me tell you. So on the stream last time, I started off, I think last week was the stream that I started off with the AI video. I think it was, or maybe that was 2 streams ago from, oh man, what's her name? I can't think of her name right now. But she had that, the jazz pianist, she had the thing about the AI music, and now we have like an AI artist that's like has topped the country charts or something like that. So it's not that. I'm not like making music with AI. I have in the past made like images with AI, and I probably still will. I do now and then. In fact, I made one a couple days ago. I said, make a badge that says like you've completed level 1 of like expression with air. Just a little badge for one of the people that that takes lessons from me. That's almost like this coaching kind of component where more and more of my students send me recordings throughout the week or throughout the month. Like I have a few students who meet, monthly or something, but then they still send me recordings and stuff, and I give them feedback, and that's a wonderful way. And so that hits their, their price point, their budget, and also their time and all this sort of stuff. It's just the best fit. Other students I see every other week. Some students I see week to week, but usually that's a short spurt. Anyways, but I don't use it to create stuff. But what I do think it can be helpful for is like speeding up all the like bullshit that I have to do. So for example, just like managing a website and creating new website pages is such a pain. Such a pain. It's so time consuming. And I just kind of stumbled into, I went back and I signed up for a little bit of hosting with not this website that I have, but the one that I had before this was built on a platform called WordPress, which if you've ever built a website, you've heard of WordPress. It's been around like forever almost. And it's still going. And this one, it was like right in the middle of all this shit that went down with my dad and my family and out in California, and it was like, I need to fix what I have. Da, 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 da. So I built this thing on WordPress, and I didn't. It was like super slow and clunky, and WordPress is just a nightmare. Like the plugins are always breaking. It's just not cool. But anyways, I went back to see if there was another thing, like maybe it's gonna work this time. And this guy that I was working with, he's like, hey, before you go any further, like why don't I tell you that I've got this. He told me, he's like, I got this whole thing where it works with an AI. Like, have you guys heard of you've heard of ChatGPT? Have you heard of Claude is another one that's used, and everybody that codes uses Claude or Claude Code or some version of like the Sonnet thing and to make these apps, and it's called vibe coding. I'm learning all about this. There's probably a bunch of you guys out there that already know all about this. This is all new to me. I had no idea. And I'm not a coder. I've never been able to develop anything or even like I've tried to like take Code Academy classes and I just like noped out of that. Like this is not, I am not into this. Anyway, here's the chat. Hey chat. So anyways, so this new thing called, yeah, Birdie says it's a little like science fiction. I know. You know what I would say, man, is if there's anything in your life, if you have like a Mac and you're like, yeah, I kind of would like a little Mac app that could do this. Like I did have a Cursor, which is another thing that you use. I'm using YouTube Music because I want to try not to use Spotify. Now, when I launch the podcast, am I going to put that out on Spotify? Yes. Does that make me a hypocrite? Maybe, but I'm trying to like get off of Spotify as my main listening thing, even though I kind of low key love Spotify. Like it knows me very well. I find tons of stuff on Spotify. However, there's reasons why I'm trying to get away from Spotify. If you guys do any digging around, you'll find what Spotify's been up to that's a little sus. Anyways, so the point of it is, what's the point that I'm going? This is just a little update on my life. So in my spare time, I've been trying to follow this stuff because basically, how can I explain like where things are at right now? At least like for me as like a consumer, where like I pay for website hosting that has the ability to like send emails and have like people pay and then give them like controlled access to like a set of videos, like an online course, and then also have like a little online community area and like all this stuff. And the one that I use right now is called Wix. And anyway, so then I just kind of like last week, about a week ago or so, maybe 2 weeks, I kind of reconnected with this old platform. I was like, let me check this out. And basically what I learned is that there's a thing called an MCP. It's an acronym. And there are these things called AI agents. And so it's basically like you have this like app on your desktop computer and you hook it up to your website. So this guy has a WordPress website that you pay a monthly for, and it has all the junk on it. And you have like this desktop app. And then if things are working, now his thing is not working yet. It's still very much broken. And then there's a lot of promises about things that will be made, and they probably will be. But right now it's not so great. Oh yeah, G4 had breakfast with Radu. What's up, Rado in the house? G4 in the house, and we got some spam. Oh no, Vitas says use title. Hey, okay, you're not. Sorry, Vitas. My eyes scanned that. I was like, that's spam. You're not spam. Sweet. What's up, fellas? Actually, I don't know your pronouns, but what's up? All right, title. I've thought about. Okay, so here, Vitas in the chat? Can you tell me like why title? Because I've heard of it before. I've heard that it has like better bit rates and stuff, but I'm not sure that I would even notice, given my setup. But what's so great about title? Like the main thing that I miss from Spotify, I'm really jamming all around, but interacting with the chat here. The main thing that I miss with Spotify is, well, two main things. The number one thing that no other platform that I've found has is the community playlists. Like I've found the community playlists on Spotify to be stellar. Like I can always, if there's something like, if I find like a new genre or something, it's like, oh, like actually I'm really into Baroque harpsichord, just solo harpsichord, for example, because this is one that I did. I'm like, okay, search that, and then just search for playlists only on Spotify. I can find just like where other nerd, people with like real deep interests, like have just made these playlists where it's just all the like this super cool stuff. And then so I'm like, oh, this playlist is amazing. So then I can like favorite that or whatever, save that, however you do it. And then you've got something where somebody else similar to you has all this stuff. And I did that for like solo. I found this awesome solo bandoneon playlist that has like all the sick stuff. And then like through that, then like you find all this other stuff. One thing that I was worried about with Spotify though is that they were going to push more and more in your algorithm, in a person's algorithm, this AI music garbage. And I was like, well, I'm going to get out before that starts. I guess the other platforms could too. Um, Family abonnement, but sadly, only few podcasts. Wait, what's abonnement? Okay, so Vita says that they pay the artist more. That's cool. And do not invest in suspicious. Yeah, Vitas, you know what I'm talking about. Invest in suspicious things. That's right. G Force said that they had a great experience. Oh, with Radu. Yeah. Oh, cool. You saw me at the ATG last meeting. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to cover that too. But anyway, let me wrap this up. So this thing about the MCPs. So this is crazy. I mean, this is like a whole new level. So just like if you're out there and you've ever built a website, like my experience for building websites is like I pay for a platform and then I like click and drag and I type the text and I'm like fiddling. It's frustrating. It's a shitty experience. I hate it. And I have this neuroses where I keep thinking like, there's a better platform. But anyway, so instead of that, you hook your MCP, you hook like this little desktop app up. In this case, I'm using this thing called Cursor, Cursor. You connect that with the website, and then you just use natural language. Actually, what everybody does is they use speech to text now, and it's called vibe coding. So vibe coding, it's only been around for like a few months, maybe 6 months or so, this term. But it means where you can use AI to code apps for you. And there's a process to it. You give it a prompt and then you keep refining the thing. And that like it's not going to replace traditional coding and stuff because it can't scale up. It starts breaking when it gets more complex. But anyway, if you have already like a system like this, so like with WordPress, I've already got all my data. I had a backup, so I could put all that in there and I could be like, hey, can you find all of my accordion courses in LearnDash? And it's like, do, bloop, 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 beep, blop. Like, yeah, I found them all. It's like, okay, well, like, can you like recreate the videos, like, spit out a new page that has all the videos? Or like, why don't you go ahead and read all the text for text descriptions of these courses and then give me some summaries of them. And like, so I could use AI to like restructure the content or all sorts of things, all sorts of really, really cool things. And like, so I was working with WordPress and this guy, and I still am. I'm probably going to cancel it though, unless something changes, because I just figured out that the website that I have now, Wix, I was like, I wonder if Wix has MCP. And it does. And so just today I connected it and there was this huge Cloudflare outage. I don't know if anybody experienced that, but this morning when I woke up here on the East Coast, a lot of things weren't working. Like for example, Fathom Videos was broken because it's built on Cloudflare. So they had a huge like global outage. Anyway, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, well, I got it to just in plain text. I was like, hey, I have this like test account called Terry the Tester, which is just like a test account that I like log in and experience what it's like on my mobile phone and like the iPad and stuff. Like, how does this look? Does it work? Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, hey, okay. And just in plain text in Cursor, I was like, okay, why don't you, like, can you create an appointment for Terry the Tester for like next Thursday in the morning? Like something vague like that. And then it goes, yeah, I figured it out. And like, how about 10 a.m. slot or whatever? I was like, cool. And it went ahead and booked it. And that is like, that's incredible. I mean, in and of itself, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but like it's going to be able to do way more things than that. And I think all these things that take a ton of time from me, that's like, okay, I have to come up with the podcast theme, and then I have to like create a description of it, and I have to come up with an image, and then I have to go to the website, and I got to click in this box and copy and paste and da. I'll be able to streamline all of that stuff into the MCP, and I can give it like just sort of general directions, like broad instructions. The way it's described is like it's an employee, like it's a person, although I am reticent to treat my AI like a human being. I don't really want to give it like a gendered pronoun. I mean, not for reasons of having a problem with gendered pronouns, but just like, I don't know if I really want to start calling it a he or she or whatever, or give it a name. But regardless, anyway, that's where we're at. And I know my brief and vague description does not give you the feeling of wonder and awe that I have, but I sense that we are right around the corner from apps behaving like this. So right around the corner from where the interface of settings and manually plugging in information and text boxes and tapping and all this kind of stuff, my sense using this MCP on these two different websites, and that means it's even gone so far that it's like out at the consumer level. It's like when I as a consumer and when I can pay $20 a month to have this experience, that means that like somewhere else it's way further ahead for enterprise or other whatever. But my sense is that this idea, this way that AI is integrated with sort of the back end systems for creating things, that's just going to become the norm now. So like instead of like updating your Facebook profile or whatever you do on your social platform, just as an example, like these apps that we use, it's all going to be natural language. And the AI is going to integrate with all of the features, and you're just going to be like, you'll probably just speak to it. Like that's what I do. And I learned that from this guy who has the WordPress software, the WordPress AI thing that I was telling you guys about. And he's the one that I didn't even mean to. I wasn't even looking for this. He's just like, hey, I'm doing this now. And that turned me on to all these things like Cursor and this idea of an MCP and all this kind of stuff. And it's pretty wild. It is, I think, to have it be generative and to ask it for new ideas, we don't want that. Like, I don't want it making art for me. I don't want it making music. I don't want it really writing something for me, although honestly, I do use it for that. I use it more to refine things and to speed up things. So it can sense your tone, and you could just like a way that I've been using it recently is to just kind of like speak. I have a button on my keyboard right now that I hold down. I talked in this microphone. It just dumps out this wall of text like, okay, hey, respond to Bertie Wooster and tell him like that assignment was awesome. And like, okay, you're ready to continue on to blah, 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 blah. And I can just speak natural language into Gmail. And then I can hit the little Gemini icon and I can hit the refine button, and it goes. And then it makes it more clear for Bertie Wooster to read what the heck I was trying to say. And I read it back. I'm like, yeah, it sounds more formal than I would say, but like that's all accurate. I think that's improving the system. It's saving me time. So I don't know. Is this controversial? Are the Luddites out there coming at me with pitchforks because I'm losing? I don't know. But this is the world that we're living in here. Anyway, I'm not gonna morally judge myself, but I will just explain that that's what's been going on. And for me, it's pretty exciting because I love to teach. I love to make content. I hate to do all the other stuff. All the other stuff sucks. Building websites, fixing websites, all the tedium of like all the steps that I have to go to. That's why I started the stream late, is because I love teaching the one-on-one hour lesson that I had with my student from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And that went a little bit over. And then I was like, okay, I need to get this student all the materials really, really quickly. So like, okay, and by the time that happens, then boom, I only have like half an hour to prepare all this stuff for the stream. And that is just a bunch of tedium. So in terms of modernity and AI for improving workflows and stuff, I'm kind of all for it, kind of. But I reject that the aesthetic is good. Like, it's not. Most consumer level AI art generation things suck. All that kind of stuff is not there, and I don't think I want it to be there. I don't know. Will we react? Will we feel ourselves, feel our humanity in AI, as we saw in Amy Nolte? That's her name. It came to my head. She said that a lot of those people in the chat said that they did find themselves in that AI art. I don't know. You guys watching the stream right now, I don't know if you saw the stream. I don't think it was last stream. I think it was the stream before, 1 or 2 streams ago. We checked out this Amy Nolte video that had just come out that day, a few hours before. And she had this crazy experience where she was something not related to music. It was like somebody that she followed on Instagram who posted about women's health, basically, health stuff for women. I don't know. I didn't follow that link, but anyway. And then there was some controversy or whatever around a topic. The Instagram, personality, there was some controversy. And then somebody else, another follower, posted an AI generated music video or music. Yeah, it was a music video, but it was like really a song that Amy Nolte like immediately was like, this is AI and it sucks. This sounds like bullshit. And like, how could anybody like this? How could anybody like this? And then there was all these comments from people that really loved it. And not only did they love it, they said that it must be like an act of God, which is like, okay. I know we all get kind of exaggerated on the internet, but man, wow. Anyways, okay. Yeah, Birdie says he likes the idea of using it to save time. Yeah, I think it's there. Over the course of 4 or 5 days, when I was really kind of getting every little spare moment that I had, I would like try to get in there and play with it. Most of the time, I feel like 90% of the time, it did not at all do what I wanted it to do. It just like failure after failure after failure. Like, oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. Do I need to walk away from this? But then this morning, I had some successes, because this happens all the time. Like, you know, there's reasons to reschedule a student, and it's great to have like an automated booking system, because pretty much most of my students are online. So that means if they can get there to the portal, then they could reschedule themselves. They could see what dates I have open. You know, it's a great thing. But sometimes they don't want to do that, or it's just easier for me to do it. So then I could just, you know, say if you took a lesson from me, we have our online lesson. You're like, oh, hey, you know, the next one I need to change it. I could just open up my cursor and just be like, you know, change so-and-so's lesson to this date or whatever. That's all I have to say. And it'll go ahead and do it, which that is so cool. Okay, enough of that. So that's probably boring to you guys, but this, I think is interesting. You know, okay, so one more thing that relates to music is generation. This might be for anyone out there that teaches music, that has, or creates learning materials for yourself. There's this awesome platform that I have used for a while now called SoundSlice. And one of the things that I had in my head is that I might have to like abandon using SoundSlice because it's just so laborious. It takes hours to add the notation to videos and sync it up and all this kind of stuff. And I started asking like AI, like ChatGPT. I was like, what AI tools exist that could speed up this process of going from like, I play this exercise and I want to turn it into sheet music, and SoundSlice creates this living sheet music, which is really cool. Let me go to the SoundSlice website. It's really cool. Let's see. SoundSlice. You know, I can even go to my SoundSlice and show you guys some stuff that I made. Oh, shit. What did I do? No, it's okay. But anyway, I mean, to jump to the chase, like, there might be. I haven't tested it yet. I have not tested it yet, but they were saying that there definitely is, and I found some really cool stuff. Like, I wish I had saved this to talk about this, but so there are technologies out there that are working on being really good at, like, it's called Clavio, I think. Let's see if we can get there. Clavio. No, that's not it. That is not it. It's something like that. Let's see. AI music transcription. Let's see if I can find it. Clangio. That's it. It's Clangio. So this one purports to be really good. You can give it, you know, you could give it paste it a YouTube URL or an MP3. I have not tried it, but a workflow for, oh, wait, you guys got to see that. There it is. Okay. A workflow for this would be, there I am. Okay. Would be like I, you know, extract the audio from a teaching video that I made. I throw it into Clangio. It strips out and it gives me a music XML file. Music XML is like a cross-platform. It's kind of like a text file for music, whereas otherwise you have proprietary files like a Finale file or a MuseScore file or a Dorico file. Those can only be read by those programs, whereas Music XML can be read by any program. You know, it's kind of like a text file or a rich text file versus a Word file, Word document that's saved in a proprietary file kind. But anyway, you throw it in there. You don't have to do any of the labor, which means also you're not learning. But like the purpose for me is to create learning materials. Yeah, you should check it out, Birdie. And if you check it out, let me know. If you play around with it, let me know. It's on my list of things to do. But like a workflow would be, I record the video, which is a lot of time and labor, you know, to think it all out. You got to like make a script and then record and then make sure you did a good take and you got to edit it together. That's already a lot of labor. And then you need the sheet music from it. So you extract the audio, throw that into Clangio, that spits out the music XML. And then apparently, according to ChatGPT, the newest MuseScore has a feature where it will, and if you guys don't know, MuseScore is a free and open source music notation program. So you use that to actually like input the it's like Microsoft Word is to writing, you know, a letter or whatever. MuseScore is to making sheet music. So you have to learn. There is a learning curve for MuseScore, but it's worth it. And then you get something that you can do a whole lot with, and it's nice and clean and clear. So theoretically, I would upload the music XML file to that. And then apparently there's this feature in MuseScore where you can create a video where it will have scrolling text. So I don't know how many clicks it is. I haven't tried it. I don't even know if it's real because ChatGPT also will just hallucinate. It'll just tell you a bunch of shit that's not true. It'll be like, well, you should do this and this. This happens to me all the time actually with apps. I'll be like, okay, how do I set this up on my Mac? I'll be like, you go here, here, here. You know, go to settings, go to this, and I'll go there, and the thing that they're telling me to look for is not even there. I'd be like, I can't find it. And they go, you're right. That's because it's not on this version. Or it's like, what the hell, ChatGPT? Anyways, if it's right. Okay, you guys don't care about all this. Why don't we listen to some cool music? What was I going to do? I was going to show you a sound slice. Let me show you guys a sound slice. What do I have? I have stuff. Let's see. All right, here. Oh, hang on. All right, in this video, we're going to talk about good chords and chord shapes that you can use on the blues and a couple different kinds. So other videos talk about broken chord shapes. This one is just... So this is a website called SoundSlice. There's not a whole lot of accordion learning stuff on here. Tons of guitar stuff though. It's developed by a guy that I actually originally met at Django in June, the music camp in Northampton, Massachusetts, named Adrian Hollivati. He's an American. Now he lives in the Netherlands, I think. And he's a programmer. He wrote a coding language that's famous. It's called Django. And he's the one that named it Django because he loves Django Reinhardt. But anyway, so and bopping all out of inversions. There's an F7 inverted, back to C7. So I had to go ahead and everything you see there, I had to manually input, and then I had to, so everything, all the words, all third inversion, first root position, second inversion, all that stuff, I literally had to do, which is a lot of work. All the fingerings I had to put in, everything you see there, I literally click and type, It's a ton of time to make all this stuff, but it works. The very first online group class that I implemented this on, I saw a huge improvement in like when the students were sending me their recordings. It was like a big jump. I was like, okay, this really works. This is worth sticking to. It's also expensive. I pay a lot of money every month to have this. But it's, you know, it's my teaching brand. It's like, I want to make good stuff that helps people, that really works. Let's see. And another neat thing is you can loop stuff. So I could just click there, and if I hit the loop button, actually that's what it was. So if you just click and drag anywhere, click and drag, and then hit play, it'll just keep looping it. Anyway, I guarantee it counts. So that's not a good spot. But... All right, let's see. Here, go to there. And you can slow it down. I look maniacal in the video. Now, there I just did the same kind of shape, just in an inversion. Version. Anyway, that sound slice. Everybody that's taken classes from me over the last couple of years is familiar with this. But that would be cool. I mean, I'd love to keep using that. So, all right, that's the end of that. That concludes our portion where Dallas is talking about AI tools. Stay tuned though. I've always thought about like a side hustle or at least a side channel where I'm talking about like computer technology for music educators, which I think is pretty fascinating for me and probably for a lot of the other music teachers out there. Okay, so before I get into the subject of today, which is about called What Gets Measured Gets Improved, that's the subject where we're going to talk about practicing and what are we looking for, and like, do we write it down, like how to set goals, all that kind of stuff. That's the theme of today. Why don't we listen to some music, some accordion music that I did not quite prepare. So let's see what I got here. This looks like it could be cool. Let's check these guys out. Yeah. Okay. And they start with the little Mario Brothers. Okay, that's super fun. So that's Loic. He has a hyphenated Primo Vinetti, almost like my last name, but not quite. We've checked Loic out before, and Loic has actually popped into the stream before. Loic is awesome, man. Let's see, what's Loic's most recent thing? Let's check this out. Minuet in G minor by Sturzel. This is great. Let's listen to a little bit of Loic. He's so good. That might be too quiet. Birdie, help me with the levels if you don't mind, or anybody out there. Jamming. Okay, one more of Loic. All right. So pretty. What'd you guys think of that? Is that is that the kind of thing that you enjoy listening to? All right. So here, let's talk a little bit about the subject of today's stream, which is, as I said before, what gets measured gets improved. So this is, I'm sure I'm paraphrasing this. There's probably like a more concise and differently phrased, commonly used way to say that. But uh, the thesis that I have is that, well, I just kind of want to talk and like look at some other people's ideas through YouTube videos and see what you guys in the chat have to say about, how do we measure practice? How do we keep track of things? Or do we? And I guess the thesis is that that is what we want to do. So let's start off with some very broad things before we get into goals or, targeted things, milestones, whatever. How about just like the act of practicing? Like, do we manage our time when we practice? I think like default, if we're calling it practice, we probably do. You say, okay, like what am I going to practice? That's managing it to some degree. And we all have times when we just want to sit with the accordion and play versus like, okay, I got to work on this thing. Well, I hope we do. I hope both are happening, but not too much in either direction, I guess. Not that it's for me to say, but, so the idea is, you want to plan your practice, and I know that I didn't make this up. I learned this from teachers all along the way. I think pretty much everybody would say it's a great idea, unless a person is like so far into like a hyper managed thing that it's like, hey, what you need to do is just like get free, or whatever. But assuming that we're not too far that way, then it's like, okay, figure out what you're trying to do, and then I think the more we can get specific about it, the better. So what am I trying to do? Okay, well, I have this amount of time before I have to do something else, or I have this amount of time before I think my body might get tired. Like playing the accordion is tiring, I think, for all of us. At a certain period of time, you got to stand up. If you're sitting, your butt's gonna get sore. You're gonna gotta take it off. You get all sweaty. Go take a break, use the bathroom, eat something, just clear your head, do something else and come back to it. So you have some set amount of time, some block of time. It doesn't have to be completely set, but you have a block of time, and then in that block of time, you want to probably figure out like what different things do you want to do. Which tunes do you want to work on? Well, I have this one. I'm learning this song. I'm at this point of it. Okay, and then also this song. Okay, so if you had two songs, you want to split your time up. This is obvious to everybody listening. So we're gonna split up our time. Whatever, you have your assignments for your teacher. You have, hopefully everybody's performing. That's another thing is, I suggest for most of my students, when they get just a little bit far along and things feel like, some sort of momentum, the bike is not falling over, to use a metaphor. It's like, oh, we'll figure out some reason to play for people, and it never happens the first time I suggest it. But it is great advice because that act of performing for people creates a different and new understanding of one's accordion playing. The description that I like to give is, it's like, we live in our house, like whether you have just a bedroom to yourself or you have a whole house or whatever parts of a house you feel in control of, right? And you have your house, you're like, oh, okay, well, I need to vacuum or sweep or wash the windows or whatever, And then you're inviting people over that you care about their opinion of you or whatever. And all of a sudden, knowing that somebody's coming over in a few hours or the next day makes you see all this dirt and things all over the place that you never saw before. It's all been there, but it didn't register. You're walking past, it's like, oh my God, the hallway is so dirty. It like makes you see it in this other way. Why? Because you know that other people are going to be looking at it with fresh eyes. You're kind of like looking at the hallway the way the other people are looking at it. And this is my metaphor for what happens to us that changes. So if I'm practicing, or if I'm the student and I have a teacher, which I have, I don't have like a regular current one, but I have somebody that I've just seen recently and I have stuff I'm working on for him. And I've definitely had teachers in the past. So, okay, I have my assignments, All right, and I'm working on it. But then, like, when I go to perform it for somebody, all of a sudden, this new perspective of like what is ready, how things sound, how good things are, the bar changes, and my perspective changes, and my understanding of what I need to work on therefore changes. And I would say, all things considered, that is a more important benchmark than anything else. And it also helps us, like, really, we have a limited amount of time in our lives, of course, haha, but also in our practice, throughout the day or the week or whatever. So in that limited amount of time, there's infinite amount of things that our brain could tell us we should practice, right? But actually choosing it is, and organizing it in terms of importance. How do I decide what I'm going to work on? So it's a feeling of like, is it important for me to learn? And also, is there an urgency? So the word urgency means that there's like a time continuum. Like, I need to do this now, right? That's the definition of the word urgent, is that there's a time, an importance based on time, that it needs to happen right now. And so the intersection of what feels important to me, like, oh, I'd really love to work on fourth chord shapes, harmonizing them in melodies, and like all this kind of, like, I could go forever thinking of really cool things that I would love to do. I'd love to work on just a bajillion things. It's like, okay, all right, all those things feel like important. Then there's a bajillion things that I don't think is important. Like, I don't want to work on this tune or that tune or this technique. I don't care about those. But things that feel important. But then, if that intersects with like, oh, but I have this performance in 3 days and I have to get ready for that or whatever, that's the urgency. And you want to find like the intersection of the two things. If you can find what feels important to you, that's like, I care about this. I care about learning about this stuff, and I feel like I must do it right now. That is my personal, as a teacher. I put this in like little things, like in these handbooks for Django and June. I've written about this before, but that's kind of my spiel about like how to figure out what to work on, or the kernel that could be expressed. And that combination, that intersection of urgency and importance, is all over the moment, or it's so clear to us when we go to perform a piece for somebody, because we care about the accordion, we love the way it sounds, and we can be so critical to ourselves and feel so bad when we go to play something that we love so much, that then the experience is really unfulfilling because it doesn't come out the way that we had expected it to, And so what can happen then, we go to play and then we're disappointed. This, I'm sure, has happened to all of us. And to some of us, we get in cycles where it happens again and again and again. And that's horrible, because that can lead to just stopping playing music. But what really, hopefully we want, is where we feel comfortable to go and play and share our music there's like a number of different ways that can be done. You could play live, you can make recordings. Like, oh, I have a friend that has a birthday coming up. I'm going to like record this song and like send them a video of myself doing this song, and be like, this is for you, friend. This is a beautiful song, and I think of you, or this, whatever. Da-da-da. What a great gift, Imagine if you had a friend that was learning guitar and they sent you a video for your birthday of them playing this song I find this song so beautiful, Do you give a shit if it's not perfect or if it doesn't sound like a professional musician? No, you're touched and honored and so grateful. Like, wow, how cool. They thought of me, and then you see your friend and what your friend's caring about. It's really a great thing. So I guess I just think at all levels of skill, pretty much once someone's kind of advanced beginner, playing for our friends, our community, our loved ones, our family, the people around us, is really, really good. And I completely understand that there are a billion reasons why our censor voice, to use a term from The Artist's Way, will tell us, you suck, you're never going to be good, that's not good enough, no one's going to like that, Like, we all have that too. But the more you do it, the more the censor voice chills out, and the more the voice that's supportive of our art comes out. So anyway, this is all just kind of a what do you call it? It's not a non sequitur. It's a parallel idea about how we find in our practice time how we can sort of stack in order of importance what to work on. And I think prioritize the things, like make performance projects for yourself. Make reasons to perform, and it doesn't have to be live performing. That's great too. If you have, my in-laws are coming over, I'm going to see my parents, my girlfriend's coming over, I'm going to go, my friend, I'm going to visit friends, and I'm going to bring my accordion and play this new tune for them. Create reasons to play for yourself. Or I made this arrangement, like with me, with a lot of my students, people are working on arrangements, making cool things. It's like, okay, maybe you don't have a band and a gig and a set that this cool arrangement you made goes in. Why don't you document it? Just try to get a recording that is like an archival recording, because what's going to happen is you made that really cool arrangement, you put all this time into learning it, and then you're going to move on to something else because you're going to be sick of it. You're going to feel like you passed the milestone, it's finished, I'm going to move on to something else. You're probably going to start getting rusty on it. You might even forget how it goes, all the exact parts. I don't remember what I did here. Make a recording at the very least of it. And the process of recording is a kind of a performance. And we have that same feeling, like we record it, we listen back, we go, oh no, like that's what I sound like, It's like hearing your voice recorded for the first time. So it's an equally good performance project, I think, in terms of having these reasons to perform in these various ways. Get a gig, play at your farmer's market, busk, go to an open mic. That's a really great thing to do. Play your tunes in an open mic. Bring your accordion to an open mic, and everybody is going to love you. It happens everywhere in the United States. I can't say the world. I haven't been everywhere in the United States, but enough places. Bring your accordion to an open mic, play your 2 tunes. You'll get a community of people. It'll be like music that they've never heard before. You might find people that are like, hey man, you ever play with a guitar player? Or like, you might find musicians to jam with. Very often musicians that are able to hear each other at similar skill levels tend to gravitate together. There's other things too. Other things need to line up, but like rarely are there mismatches. It's very much like, I don't want to say a meritocracy, but it's very much like people's intuitions of like who's going to go good together musically, like. Anyways, getting a gig, going to an open mic, busking on the street, playing for your friends and family, making recording just for your own purposes, start a YouTube channel, make a recording to send as a friend for a gift. Send it to your wife as an anniversary present or Valentine's Day present. Send it to your grandmother as a Christmas present. Send it to your friend for their birthday. Like all these sort of things. Whatever. But any of those are really, really wonderful things to be sort of pointing your efforts on music towards. And those help you figure out, those really give you, if we're talking about the theme of today is like what gets measured gets improved. Is that not a measurement? Like, what is a greater measurement than actually having a performance and then going, how did it go? The question of how did it go is measuring, right? It's the same as measuring. So what greater measurement is there for us live performers than to measure? And it does not have to be, I guess I'm trying to offer these solutions for everybody so that like there's all these myriad options, so to speak. Okay. So then other things to think about. So getting out of the vein of like measurement, we'll come back to measuring performance because that's a really important thing. But let's just talk about like other things to measure. So this is something I heard when I was younger, and then it was just great. If you guys know Joanne Cochran Summers, she is the professor emeritus. She's president emeritus of the ATG, the Accordionists and Teachers Guild. She's in her, I think she just turned 90. She is amazing, an absolutely amazing firecracker of a human being. She's basically lived the entire history of the accordion's popularity in the 20th century and 21st century. She's a total badass, super cool lady. And she talks about it's the amount of time that you put in on your instrument. Like, and she taught for decades. She taught a university program. So she had university level, people in their late teens and 20s that were there to become professional accordionists at a college, so they had all that spirit, and she was holding them to the high bar to make them professional performers and stuff. And she would talk about, when she'd have a student come in and they're like, it's not going right, they're supposed to play that, they're like got their head between their tail or whatever. She'd be like, well, how much did you practice? And invariably, not that much. So just her bringing that up, I forget, this was in a teach talk or something, that I'm not doing. We're not doing those anymore, but measuring the amount of time that you are practicing on your accordion is a fantastic benchmark for us to have. So that is something, like all things, like how much did I go to the gym this week? How much did I go running or do my cardio or whatever I'm doing? Those things are really useful. You know, it's like a quantity, I suppose. I have this like guide that I go to show me what exercises to do at the gym. He's a chiropractor and some other stuff, and he says it a little too intellectually for me, but he says frequency over amplitude, which is like such a detached scientific way to say it, but he means, you know, like rather than thinking of like, I'm going to go in the gym and I'm going to go for 2 hours or whatever, it's like just go for 30 minutes, but try to go every other day or every day or whatever, you know, whatever his deal is. So frequency over amplitude. And I find that to be true. I mean, I agree with that wisdom for sure. So what are you measuring? You know, what are you measuring? So measure, you could, so then we could keep track of it. So this gets back to this time-honored tradition of like keeping a journal, keeping a log, have a notebook or an app. For me, I record, I'm sitting facing a desk. I have a beautiful, you know, flat screen here. Got my laptop over there. I've got a desk. I've got all the tools I could ever want. Like I've got good accordions. There's no excuse for me not to be making great music. I can't use, well, my accordion sucks, or I have all the right gear. I'm all set up here. And then I guess where I was going with that is a notes app. Like for me, I don't use a paper spiral bound notebook or anything. I open up my notes app and everything is in one gigantic thing. And I look at what I did before. So I just scan. I usually don't like really read too much of what I've written, because I'm not excited about that. I'm like, oh, let me jump in. But I do go, okay, yeah. Oh, I was doing this exercise. Okay, this and this and then that. Okay, that's what I was doing. All right, cool. And then I'll log. Okay, here's what I did, and then go on to the next thing. And so there's a what's the word? There's a continuity. That's the word I was looking for. Continuity. Let me visit the chat. So Birdie's saying that Birdie thinks spaced repetition is so important. Play 20 minutes a day for 3 days versus play an hour one day of play an hour just one day out of 3. Yeah, and I completely do that. There's something that I heard about a while ago that comes back to my mind a lot. And it is it's a concept of doing the same practice but trying to break it up into 2 different times in the day. Now, a lot of us can't do that. I mean, a lot of us have to go to work, and then you just don't have 2 times in your day to do that. But some of us do. A lot of us do too, I guess. There's like more and more freelancers. I know there's a ton of retired people that watch this. There's a ton of freelancers. There's a ton of people who have time for various reasons throughout the day. And that's an approach that I haven't really implemented and tried, but I've always been super curious about. It seems like it could be, like intuitively, I wonder if that could be like a really cool thing. So like, for example, at like 10 a.m., you might spend an hour and a half or something. Depends on, let's just say you have an hour and a half from 10 a.m. to 11:30, and you're hitting 3 different things. You hit like some jazz vocabulary exercises. You're working on this arrangement, something, that's all written out and specific bellows changes here and this articulation and da-da-da-da-da. And then something else, a third thing, say, third chunk of time. Then you go through the rest of your day, you do whatever else, blah, blah. Then later, say from like 4 to 5:30, you go back and you do exactly the same thing in exactly the same order. And that somehow, I forget where I heard that, but that somehow, I was told, is a way to accelerate learning as well. And I always liked that idea. There's something about it that seems really cool. But so anyway, to go back to like what gets measured gets improved. So at this point now, I think we need to say that we need to introduce the idea of having a goal and stating it and setting it, right? So if we've described like sort of an ideal situation where you have a performance project that you're working on. Sorry, I'm trying to go this way, but the microphone's right in my way. You have a performance project that that you're working on, whatever that is. Um, and so you go, okay, this is all this stuff that I'm working on, or a majority of the stuff that I'm working on needs to be headed towards that performance goal, right? That doesn't have to be, it shouldn't be everything, and it doesn't have to be everything. But like some of this is intended to be performed, and that changes the way you approach it. But we'll talk about that in a second. So you have that, and then now we're measuring time, and we have a concept. Now we're kind of setting up best practices here, or a straw man, like a theoretical sort of practice idea, which is, all right, I'm going to start measuring maybe the frequency that I have. Like, I'm going to like realistically look at my schedule and be like, I think I could probably practice 4 out of 7 days of a week. And how much time could I get? Well, realistically, I could do it here. I could get maybe an hour every day or hour and a half every day. 4 days out of the week, I could do this day, not that day, not that day. Oh, this one I spend with my so-and-so, whatever. And then you set that as an intention. So that becomes a goal, right? That becomes a goal. And then you can document, you can measure that goal. So how do you measure a goal like that? You have to have some sort of recording system. So it's Monday and I did practice. It's Thursday and I forgot to practice on Tuesday or Wednesday, or something happened. I got sick, or I had to work too much. I stayed late, or whatever happened. And I didn't do it. I just forgot. I procrastinated. I didn't, some voice inside me, like, whatever the reason is. Because if we can realistically, honestly to ourselves, be self-aware and state realistically the reason why we were unable to meet our goal, then we can work on that reason. Sometimes you just let it go. My car broke down, I got sick, things like that. Other times, and a lot of times for me, it's like some sort of other reason. Like I felt overwhelmed. I kept choosing other stuff. It's like, well, I keep telling myself I really want to spend a lot of time with music, but why? I spend all my time over here and over here. What's going on? You can work with those things and improve those things. And I think many of those are very natural, normal for artists in general, and I am not afraid to admit that I go through that, have gone through that, still go through that, struggle with work-life balance, as they say, all those sort of things. Tom said, an approach, here's a strategy, which is measurable. And goal-based says, you can see it on your screen, learning by trying to do a line correctly 10 times in a row. Fantastic strategy. And do you do that, Tom? And do you find success with that? Is that like, have you experimented and found out that that's good? Because that's the other thing is, we want to constantly be creating like these strategies for ourselves. And like, it's self-management, you like, a thing that I like to tell, it's like, I kind of figure this out and I like to say it to students now and then, not all the time, but is like, I am teaching the teacher inside of you, right? So, which doesn't necessarily mean the teacher, but it means the coach or the music director or the conductor or the voice inside of you that's going, that didn't sound right. How do I get it to sound right? What should I do differently? So hopefully I'm able to give insight to help that thing inside of you, the student, become better at doing that job, in the hopes that like someday I will not be needed, right? Or something like that, really. Like that's kind of I wouldn't say that's what I'm after, is that I'm not needed, but I'm certainly after like fortifying that process of like an independent reflective thought that's able to problem solve, to problem solve. So it's like, this didn't work and I played this again and now I'm frustrated and maybe I'm angry or sad or bummed out or disappointed, or maybe I'm still enthusiastic, whatever. Like, what can I do differently? What am I doing wrong and how can I fix it? And getting to kind of core principles here. So anyways, let's talk about some more things, of things we can measure. That's ostensibly what we're talking about. What gets measured gets improved. And so, Tom replied. So I asked Tom if Tom has tried this idea of 10 in a row. Thanks, Heather. But Tom said, yeah, he has. And Tom's out there doing gigs, man. Tom works all summer long and probably all winter long too. But he probably doesn't do his farmers market gigs in the winter, unless they're held inside. But Tom's doing it, you know. So many of the people that and Heather does it too. Heather Giggs, she's a professional performer and has been for her entire adult life. Bunch of different projects. And I teach many people who are not those things either. It doesn't discount anybody that is, but just that like that's who they are and what they're doing with their art and music. And it becomes like everything that Tom and I have ever done together has always been based on his gigs. Whenever he emails me, it's always about like putting a set list together, refining this, all this kind of stuff. So it's the way he goes about life and feels wonderful and excellent. And he's playing for his music. He's playing his soul, making beautiful music out of his instrument for his community, and maybe making some money at it too, and meeting people. And I'm paraphrasing, but I'm sure he wouldn't disagree. But anyway, so getting back to like what gets measured gets improved. So then let's use this as in fact, why don't I take a break? I'm going to drink some water. Let's listen to something on accordion here. Let's take a little break. See if I can go back to my subscriptions here. And we'll listen to some good music. So let's see. Friedrich Lips. Oh, this is live right now. You guys want to go live to Russia? Oh, this is not live. But when did this happen? Oh, 1 hour ago. It was live. If I had started this right at the beginning of the stream. Anyways, this happened 1 hour ago in Russia. It's the recital of Maria Vlasova. That's probably Maria. We're not getting closed captions here. Oh, let's check out this accordion trio. Let's see what this is. Sweet. I love that sparkly dress. And I appreciate this too, because when I got into accordion, I just really had it in my head that piano accordion was inferior to chromatic button accordion. So in my head, inferior, and also all great Russian bayan players, of which there are like a million of them that are badass. They all play the button bayan, and they're da-da-da-da-da. And like lately, I've been seeing a ton of piano accordions in Russia playing really great. Let's see what we think of this group, and I'm gonna translate these pieces while we watch this. And we will stop right there. Beautiful music. So as I put on screen, I used ChatGPT to translate this for me. By the way, ChatGPT is the new Google search. Once you start using it, that way you won't go back. Everything you'll see that it does everything that Google does, but much better. I'm just trying to kind of spread the love. I don't love AI, but it is like it's not even the future. It's the contemporary. Anyway, a little public service announcement. Don't get left behind. Don't be one of those people that is like, oh shit, now I have to use AI and I don't know what is going on. Anyways, okay. So beautiful. So this is Marco Tachevic, composition called This Day, written on a text from Psalm 118 and 119, written in 1968. This is the world premiere by the Serbian Accordion Quartet, of which there are only 3 of that we see. And the performers' names are listed there. And we just saw, I assume, Alexa, and I don't know which of the other names is most likely to be a feminine name, based on looking at the 3 of them. But that's what I'd say we're listening to. That was really cool. Okay, so let's check out, before I keep bloviating, let's check out Noah Kageyama, who's very famous. He might currently still be a Juilliard professor. I know that he has been in the past, and he has some very famous, probably the most famous channels and information for musicians to learn how to practice better. He has a thing called the Bulletproof Musician. See if we can find it really quick. Here you go. This is Noah's website. So it's like performance psychology. So anyways, let's hear what Noah has to say. The title of this one, it's about 4 minutes 26 seconds. It's why do some musicians get better so fast?
Have you ever noticed that some musicians seem to improve faster or just play at a higher level, even though they don't seem to practice that much more than anyone else? It's easy to assume that they're just more talented, and sure, maybe this could be part of it, but what if it's because they're doing something very different in the practice room? Research suggests that top performers do practice differently. So in this video, I'll share with you the 2 key practice habits that expert performers use to get better results in less time. Let's start with a 2001 study of basketball players. 2 researchers from the City University of New York recruited 28 varsity basketball players to see if they could identify any differences between the practice habits of the best free throw shooters, who were shooting 70% or higher that season, and the worst free throw shooters, who were shooting 55% or lower. After observing their practice and asking a few questions, the researchers noticed a few key differences in how they approached each practice repetition. But there were 2 differences in particular that stood out to me. The first difference was that the best free throw shooters generally had more specific goals about what they planned to do before each practice free throw attempt. They had goals like, I'm going to make 10 out of 10 shots, or I'm going to bend my knees, or I'm going to keep my eyes on the rim of the basket. The worst free throw shooters had more general goals. They would say things like, I'm going to make baskets, or I'm going to try harder to practice my shooting form, or I'm going to concentrate more. And saying things like, I'm going to keep my eyes on the rim of the basket, and I'm going to concentrate more, are 2 very different levels of specificity. The second difference had to do with how the players responded to missed shots. When the best free throw shooters missed, they were pretty good about linking each miss to specific technical problems. Something like, I didn't bend my knees, or I didn't follow through. And knowing exactly why you missed a shot, or at least having a specific theory about why you missed, makes it a lot easier to come up with a more specific goal for the next practice attempt. This can also help to build up your confidence, because it gives you the sense that your performance can be improved if you just make a few adjustments here and there. The worst performers, on the other hand, rarely connected their misses to any specific aspects of their shooting technique. They were more likely to say that they missed because they were out of rhythm, and their solutions for making the next shot were pretty vague also. Things like, I'm going to use good form, or I'm going to concentrate. And that, of course, means that they were just more likely to keep making the same technical mistakes that led to the miss in the first place. So that probably all makes pretty good sense, but Is it possible that the reason why the worst performers didn't focus on specific technical strategies is because they didn't know as much about free throw shooting technique? Like maybe the best performers focused on technique and strategy more often because they just knew a lot more about how to shoot a basketball with proper form. That is an excellent point, and the researchers wondered that as well. So they specifically controlled for this by testing for the player's knowledge of basketball free throw shooting technique. And as it turns out, there was no significant difference in knowledge between the best and worst free throw shooters. In other words, it seems that both the top performers and the worst performers had pretty much the same level of knowledge to draw from. It's just that very few of the worst performers actually used this knowledge. On the other hand, the best performers were much more likely to use their knowledge of free throw shooting to think, plan, and direct their practice time more productively. So how do we put all of this into action? Well, when you find yourself working on a tricky passage today, try using more specific goals for each practice attempt. Take a moment to remind yourself what your goal for the passage is, give it a try, and then after playing it, take a moment to reflect on what just happened, and if you fell short of your goal, why that might have been. Come up with a new goal with that adjustment in mind and test it out and see if it helps you get closer to your goal. This process might feel a little slower and tedious at first, but see if adding these two key details to your practice and spending more time in detective mode not only changes how much of your work sticks from day to day, but how practicing feels as well. If you'd like more detailed step-by-step guidance on how to practice more efficiently and effectively, I put together a free 7-day email course that I've linked in the description below. You'll try out 5 essential practice strategies that'll not only help you get more out of your daily practice, but also help you play more confidently on stage and sound more like yourself when it matters most.
And a little Django style bumper music there. All right, that's cool. So I first heard about this from one of my students during 2020. Actually, I had not heard of Noe Kageyama, but I wonder if anybody out there in the chat is hip to them. I think, yeah. I mean, it's not for me to say, but geez, Vor, if you're still watching, like, are you hip to this? Because you're doing competitions and stuff. You might be into that stuff. Check out Bulletproof Musician. But yeah, so it's about like setting goals, right, for our practice sessions, and then it's about critiquing why we're not able. And we were just kind of talking about this. I had a thought. I had somewhere I was going to, and now I forgot it. I had something I was going to pick up after we listened to the accordion music video, and now I've forgotten what it was. But anyways, so to move on. So we're talking about like frequency of doing it. So measuring frequency, right? Then I love what Tom's accordion said, which is like, he said, learning by trying to do a line correctly 10 times in a row. So if we set a goal like that, that can be measured, right? And here is my spin on that. And this is not discounting that idea at all, but it is adding some information that I have because I, as a teacher I teach a bunch of accordion people throughout the week and for over 10 years now. So there are, when I, can think of like trends that I notice as far as things. So there's more than one person, more than 10 people. Many people will have moments in their lives in music and accordion where they go, how do I stop making mistakes? I keep making mistakes and it's driving me crazy, or some version of that, and that can lead to a lot of like disappointment and frustration. And this is a very common question, and I usually hear this question from people who are like, they have their eyes set somewhere, on like they really want to do a really great job, so they have like, they're pushing themselves, they're holding a high bar, which is awesome. Like that's great that they're in that moment of their lives and their music. And so then they're going like, and I've been there too. I've absolutely been there too. So it's like, how do I stop making mistakes on this thing? And my answer now is a little bit different, and it is based on my own life and experience and also some other things that I've checked out. And so my answer is, well, okay, some of the golden chestnuts that we understand. It's like, okay, let's talk about what it is to practice to play something, right? Because when we talk about how do I stop making mistakes, I think usually the core of that gets down to the nervous system. The nervous system doing a thing, teaching the body, almost like an obstacle course or running a play in football, this way, that way, da da da, or whatever. Avoid the tackle, catch the ball, or I don't know, whatever. I don't really know football. I don't know any sports, but or a dance, some sort of like choreography, to use metaphors for other things. Like I do this, 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 and this. And very fine nervous system control, along with like emotional expression, which is a whole nother layer of things, remembering all this stuff. Memory is a big part of it. So like, okay, and I won't go into that stuff now, but I think that that's a very good first principles thing to come back to, is like, there are different sort of columns of what it means to be making music. One of them that I talk about a whole lot is the music in our head that we are hearing, because that's where it's all coming from, or it should be where it's all coming from. There's ways to do it other ways, but for me and my Rising Read, it's my live stream, I get to tell you my opinion. That's the best way, because that's you, the human being, the spirit, the life, the artist gets to come out that way, your voice. So that's one of them. But the other one is really, it's the body. It is the mechanics. It has a lot to do with muscle memory and reflexes and the nervous system and all that sort of stuff. And that's a big part of playing things perfectly. And so I like to go back to that. And there's things that I've learned: blocking, repetition, other kinds of things. A major thing is a really big thing for people that I suggest that they're like, oh man, I never thought of that, is don't keep starting your song from the beginning. Start, especially if you intend to perform this and you keep making mistakes and then you go like, I don't know what to do. Start your song, deliberately practice from other places. So I have to start from the middle of the song. I have to start from the 10th bar. I have to start from the 30th bar. I have to start from the 70th bar, or whatever. Like different sections, like start there. It gives us a different way to get there. It's almost like, well, I can go to the grocery store, but I couldn't tell you how to go there. But I know if I go outside, I turn right at that first stop sign, then left, and then I go here, So it gives us a better way. But this is all getting to the other thing, which is like kind of the point that I'm saying here of measuring. Different ways to measure is this idea of correcting mistakes, recovering from mistakes. And so this is my personal thing. So like, I just had this like a couple weeks ago. Wonderful student who's like kicking major ass. They're just getting, every time I hear them, better and better and better. And they said this thing, which is like very common that I hear a lot, is like, okay, how do I stop making mistakes? And so I went a little bit into the nervous system thing and was like, but here's what I think is even more important. Every single performance that we hear, that we love, that we go like, oh my God, I want to hear that song again, or whatever, like, oh, it's so moving. They all have mistakes. They all have more than one mistake, lots of mistakes, especially if we ask the performer, honestly, what are the things you intended? Like, was that exactly how you wanted it? How you intended it? And so the idea of something coming out that we didn't intend, right, is kind of a definition of a broader definition of a mistake. And those mistakes happen, little things, often it's very little. The thing that makes it not a disaster and still an amazing piece of art is that performer's goal was not to play perfectly and without mistakes. That's not what they were trying to do. They were trying to express their soul and humanity. They were trying to tell their story, to make this piece of music alive and live out in the world with as big an emotional expression that was appropriate for that art form as they could. And when there was a note that was missed, or an entrance that was late, or something the instrument didn't sound the way that they expected it to, it did not stop them. Their brain didn't go, oh, that was a mistake, you fucked up, oh God, start again, or oh, you know what I mean? Those kind of biofeedback things, like, and so they didn't do that. They just kept right on going. That really didn't matter to them. It's like, oh, okay, here we keep going. Like I'm miming a violin, but whatever instrument it is, right? And so my point here that I'm trying to say is the ability to practice recovering from mistakes, which is twofold. It is probably most important, or a very fundamental thing, is just getting this skill set where you can go like, okay, I was trying to make it through 32 bars, and like bar 9 should have had this thing, and I really didn't hit it, but I just went right on. I went right on. And that is the more important thing, because the measurement of the artwork that we're creating is not measured on whether all of those measures had all of the correct notes. Nobody gives a shit about that. Nobody cares. That's not what is happening with music. What is happening with music is, did I connect this thing that I'm trying to do, this emotional statement that I have, did I make sounds in the world around me with my instrument that connected either to me, the one listening, or to my audience, whoever that is, and they feel that thing, they feel that human emotion. And that doesn't have anything to do with, that thing can absolutely happen even if you completely botched measure 9. The whole thing, even if there was mistakes all over the entire thing, the artist can still get that across, And I'm not suggesting that we make sloppy music, because I don't think that's not what I'm saying. You guys know what I'm saying, and so I guess I don't need to like qualify objections. But it's like, that's more than just like, yeah, man, you're right. That's more than that. It's actually like a thing that you can practice and a way to approach music. So it's like, okay, when I am working to perform a piece, there's like stages and phases of a piece, There's like getting to know it. We often like simplify it in many ways. We break it into the right hand and the left hand alone. We start to put together slow. We change the tempo. We take just small parts of it, and kind of, there are many ways that we go through, very, very many common things we all do to learn a piece, to get it ready. But as it's getting closer and entering the phases where we play it and we expect it to sound performable, that's where this ethos of, what am I after? I am after this emotional spark, right? And the ability to keep moving through. So as we're entering that phase, and it's still being like, we're still practicing it. So say, okay, I've got the first 12 measures, the first half, the A section of this piece in 2 hands. It's cool. I'm going to practice performing the whole thing. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I want to have that as my top thing that I'm trying to achieve here. Yes, I made it get big there, and I made it get small there, and I got the rubato, and I slowed down on the rallentando, and I did whatever the things are. And you can do this in jazz too, but I'm just talking in this kind of like hypothetical situation. I'm talking sort of hypothetically about music that is set and notated, and arrangement. Whether you wrote it out, whether you're reading somebody else's arrangement, or whether you just set the thing in your head. That's kind of what I'm describing here. But so you go and you're trying to keep that above all else as you're going through the song. Like, what is the emotional concept that you want? And it's probably has variances. Some songs have a lot of different emotions. Some songs don't. Some songs are sort of more monochromatic, so to speak, and it doesn't make the artwork any less valid. It's just different ways to do it. And then, so then if you're still in the practice phase, or any sort of evaluative phase, which is sort of what practice is that you have an eye for being very evaluative. The act of making music has a lot of evaluation in it, and you're stopping and trying things. So if you're in that, then you go, okay, cool. I made it. I played through this section that I was trying to play through. And did I capture, we want to measure, like, did I capture the emotional connection? Yes or no? Like, I still don't quite have it. Okay, so then that takes practice. And that's very normal that we need to work on those things. But also then inside of it, you go like, well, I didn't, but like, measure 9 was kind of a disaster, but I still kept going, because I'm not going to let measure 9 being a disaster stop me from continuing on. The fact that those notes were messed up, or I kept I kept hitting the wrong counterbass. Like, you keep going, because it's the thing you're working for now is the expression over all else. And just, I think the thesis I'm trying to get across is, we put emotional expression and our identity, sounding like ourselves, the artist, at the height of our thing. Like, that's our finish line that we're going for. We're shooting for that. We're not shooting for perfection. However, our ideal is that playing perfectly is going to get us to that, right? But with this idea that we're holding, that we're trying to be emotionally communicative there. All right. So measure that, I would say, when it gets to that phase. Other things to measure. Let's see. It's a quarter till we're gonna finish. The sun is very much starting to set here. It's yeah, probably got about 15 minutes worth of daylight before it gets totally dark out there. But anyway, let me pause and take a break, take a breath. Why don't we listen to a little bit more music and then kind of like keep going on some more ideas here. Let's see, what else? This is on my subscriptions, the YouTube channels that I have subscribed to. Let's see if we can find any other topical accordion music. There's Dennis Chang. Who's this playing? Another? Oh yeah, that guy. Okay, seen him. Wow, this is interesting with the gingham pattern. Oh yeah, I want to try this. Okay, let's check this out. Sharp 9. Thanks, Heather. Okay. Killing. So, let's see. Por una cabeza, right? Adios nonino. I'm not sure what the violin melody is. Maybe you guys recognize that. It sounded like a different theme, unless it was part of Adios nonino that I didn't recognize. And then that last one is La Comparsita, right? Killing. Okay. All right. Well, it's coming time to wrap this up. Let's see what else. I guess the kind of thesis of this idea of what gets measured gets improved is you should measure, and you should make goals, and then you should continuously look at data or evaluations or like whatever you feel about it. Keep looking at it. Keep it in front of your mind. Keep a log of it. And the more that you're keeping a log of it, the more it's like, not that you don't have to do, you have to work, right? But like keeping that in front of you, like I'm working on this, and then look at it again and keep adding it to your practice. That is what's going to get improved. So we want to set goals. We want to manage our time. We want to find ways of measuring. And the measuring, I think, for an artist can be as simple as sort of like reflecting, or like it's a lot in the goal that you have as well. And I think that the best output, like I was saying at the beginning, the best output for measuring against is gonna fundamentally be a performance project. So have a reason to perform it like I used to, and I'm gonna start up again in January. We're gonna go back to the quarterly system where every 3 months, so in March, let's see, January, February, March, April, May, June. In March, June, October, and December, we're gonna have little online recitals. And that's a wonderful way to set a deadline to have a performance project if you're taking lessons with me, and to do your thing. And then also you get to see other people do their things as well. So if you wanted one or needed one, I'm not saying sign up for lessons right now, but I guess I'm just saying like that's another one if you're part of a music instructor studio or something like that. But have that be your measurement that you're going against, or have that be the thing to measure. Anyways, okay. All right. I can feel that I'm out of it's like, okay, I did my summary. That's cool. What's up, Christian Gregory? I see you in the chat. I wanted to say hi and tell you that I see you. It's great to see you. And Bertie Wooster talked about the accents on the legs. Yes. I've thought of that. I've seen accordion players do that too with their accordion. I just wonder, like, is that going to be, are you risking injury if you're trying to do that with like a heavy thing, a heavy box, 26, 30 pounds that's strapped to your back and your neck? I don't know. But it's a very cool way of doing it. Why don't we just kind of go out? We got 5 more minutes. Let's listen to more music. I'll go back here. This was part of my subscriptions. Channels I'm subscribed to. Let's see what else looks good here. What do I want to hear? Let's check this out. La Donacella. Oh, this is long. Will it play? Sometimes Firefox doesn't. Try to load this again.
Saludos a mis seguidores, transmitiendo en vivo desde casita. El acordeón en el
cool. Tight. The most used chords on accordion in merengue típico, like Dominican Republic style merengue típico. That's cool. So merengue típico, I know, is like folkloric merengue style. So it means like not modern with like super electronic, like, sub bass and like all, whatever. It means like acoustic instruments. That's cool. Who's the author?
Dominicano lo pueden adquirir por Amazon y lo pueden adquirir conmigo en el teléfono 829.
Oh, she's giving out her phone.
Repito, 829.
Hit her up on WhatsApp. Okay.
las letras por ahí.
That's cool. This is really fun. Okay. I'm a sucker for like music that's like recorded outside, that's like high def video. This is from the channel that is the Chopin competition.
Rękami w stronę Adama.
O, jest. I oni to złapią.
Let's see what this is.
Jeden.
Flute, 2 violins, and a bass. Okay, that's really cool. Ooh, wow. The accordion is so shiny, it looked purple. All right, guys. Well, that's it. We're over. We're done. I'll be back next week for probably a Thanksgiving spectacular, giving thanks, songs of thanks and gratefulness and praise and gratitude and things like that. Yeah, Birdie, you said it was inspiring. That's awesome. This whole journey like of the live stream is also like I benefit from each one of these that I do, that I love. It's super cool. It's very much self-serving as much as it is like, you know, giving some of the community and obviously trying to like increase my web presence too. So this was super fun. Thanks to everybody. What do I have to say? That's all I have to say. If you're interested in knowing more about me or what I do, hit me up. You can find me at risingread.com, and you can also set up a free 15-minute phone call with me. If you're just curious, like, what do you teach? How much do you charge? What are the obligations? All that kind of stuff. If, for example, you like the cut of my jib. Anyways, that's all I gotta say. You're welcome, Tom. See you guys next week. Everybody, be wonderful, be well. Start measuring your practice. Write it down. Keep some sort of document or notepad or something. See you soon.